Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by the REC Toycast. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me, as always,
Erik Icarus.
Icarus and Chavez. You know,
That's right, baby.
we've got a couple different, pronunciations for such names.
Yeah, for sure.
Continuing kind of our horror month.
Yeah.
We kind of want to talk about, another part of the show that we love to talk about, and that's comic books.
Yes. Kind of the originator for this podcast.
I mean, that's the idea. It's I guess we're just more into things pop culture.
Yeah.
I was proposing to Eric the other day a Taco Bell themed episode.
Yeah, I'm down with it.
You guys might get yourselves a Taco Bell themed episode.
I'm down with it.
Well, we wanted to go to a con today, actually. We wanted to go to a local con, but we were unable to make our schedules work, so there are comics out there that fly, just evade me. But hey, guys, sometimes life comes in the way.
It does, man.
Eric, we got a couple horror comic books we want to talk about.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm going to have you kick us off. Give me a comic book that you like, that is horror themed, that is cool, that the guys and the girls should know about.
All right. I'm going right out the gate with... people probably are aware of the movie 30 Days of Night.
Yes.
And actually a pretty underrated movie.
Very underrated movie. I thought you were going to bring it up during our underrated horror film.
I thought about it, but, I want to really get involved with it and maybe do more research on that movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it deserves so much more praise than it gets, and it's such a great movie, but I feel like people don't know that it's actually based off of a graphic novel.
A lot of people do not, and like most things graphic novel related, after it comes out, people flock to the comic book store.
Is that what happens?
Yes.
Okay.
They're like, I heard this was a comic book, and I'm going to let you get what you have to say about it, because there are definitely some complaints. But go for it.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, it is written by a gentleman named Steve Niles.
Awesome.
And this is the only thing I know him from, honestly. And then it was illustrated by Ben Templesmith. And I know he's worked with Warren Ellis in the past on Falling? Or Fall? Is it Fall? It's one of those things, but Fell. It's Fell.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was one of those people.
Yeah.
I saw the movie, heard about it, that it was a graphic novel initially, and went and got it.
Yeah.
And was blown away by it.
Yeah.
Absolutely blown away by this graphic novel. I am in love with the artwork, and what a genius concept too. For those of you who don't know, they haven't seen the movie or read the graphic novel, real quick, it takes place in Alaska. Okay. It takes place in the town in Alaska. Its name is escaping me, but it's the furthest point north you can get.
Okay.
And it allows 30 days of night, and it's a real place.
Yeah.
And
it's the furthest place north you can get that sells people.
There you go. There you go.
Because that's important.
Yes, that's very important. Very true. And so these vampires, they get... I don't know if they have been doing this for centuries, or they just got hip to this.
It sounds like, in the comic, it sounds like something that they've been doing for a little while, but
they wait for the population to grow a little.
Yes, they come back.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And they go to this town and they just feast.
Yeah.
It is good eats for the vampires. They get to stay out all day, all night.
Yeah.
It's like Mardi Gras, man. Like, I think we brought that up in a previous podcast, man. It makes me want to be a vampire.
Yeah.
Like, I would wait my entire life to go to that. Burning Man for vampires.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's just a whole
rave, dude.
Well, what's fascinating too about it is because this is the type of town that if everybody dies, it's going to take a long time for anybody to know.
For sure.
So that's why it works out so well. They allude to that it's been done before,
right?
And it is, it's such a clever idea, and then just having to survive the night,
right? Which is a month-long night.
What do you think of the design of the vampire?
I mean, that was the first thing that took me. How they actually got it really close in the movie.
Very much so.
Close.
Because the artist's style is very out there. A lot of people, one of the complaints I was going to say, a lot of people who saw the movie, they're like, oh, the vampires look like the comic book, but like the rest of it is also very crude.
Sure.
But the crudeness adds to the vampires because there's more effort put into them.
Sure.
And they look, we've used this a lot, I feel, lately, but they look like land sharks.
They do.
They have the dead eyes, the black eyes.
Sharp teeth.
Big teeth, yeah. It's very, like, exaggerated
big time.
facial features.
And I love the way Templesmith does blood. Yeah. It's just smeared. It is visceral. Everything about this book is straight up visceral and dark. And
right up your alley.
Very much so. Yeah. And
because it's simple, too.
Very much so.
I enjoyed the art style. I'd like more detail, but for this story, it works so well because it really... I think because the there's not a lot of detail in the back, it really, I think, hits that point of seclusion.
For sure. There you go.
Like what's going on.
It's almost got a watercolor-esque backdrop to it. And I love that you said that because that's perfect. I didn't put that together. That is amazing. And it really draws you. If you haven't read this, folks, go read this. Get it on Halloween and turn the lights off as much as you can and still be able to see the book. And just get immersed and you will be terrified. Yeah. I think there's a few volumes. I've only read the first volume.
There are.
I've heard it starts to downgrade a bit in quality.
It's, you can only tell that story.
Very much so. So many, there's not that many angles to it. And it's drawn well. For the art style, for the book, it works. I agree. You could never do a Spider-Man or Batman in that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wouldn't work. Yeah. But again, I go read this, folks. It is up there for me.
And if you don't want to read it, go watch it because the movie is very good. It's a good representation. It's like for the people who liked Harry Potter but didn't want to read all those books. Like the Harry Potter movies work. You're missing some things. You do somewhat miss that isolation that the art provides.
For sure.
But they do it with, like, very little soundtrack in the film.
Yeah, so, and I think that's great. Essentially, the soundtrack in the movie are the screams of the people. Yeah. And that is horrifying.
Yes.
And, again, I'm in love with it. Go check it out.
For me, I'm going to go a little bit more mainstream. That's kind of, in mine and Eric's life, that's been our thing. Eric got really into punk music. I got really into pop punk music. Like, it's just, 30 Days a Night is it's a smaller book. This is a big book.
Yes, it is.
Not the biggest one I'll talk about, but the Ultimate Fantastic Four, issues 21 through 23, titled Crossover. This book set the stage for a very lucrative franchise and something that really terrified me from Marvel. It's the story of Marvel Zombies. It's the beginning of Marvel Zombies.
Right.
And they ended up doing some miniseries that I'm actually not going to touch on too much. I want to talk about these specific issues. In 2005, they were really building up this book as... the Ultimate Universe is an alternate universe to the normal Marvel Comics.
Right.
So the main Marvel Comics is Universe 616. This, I don't know the designation for the Ultimate Universe, but the Ultimate Universe is its own universe.
Okay.
And they were like, we're never going to do a spillover, a crossover into what's going on. And lo and behold, we see the ads for this, and it's called Crossover. Yeah. And you literally see like a young Reed Richards and an old Reed Richards kind of looking at each other like, through a portal.
Right.
And, the fans are like, what? This is, you guys said you wouldn't do this.
Right.
This and that. And they really set it up. And in the book itself, we do see the Ultimate Reed Richards. And in the Ultimate Universe, Reed is in his late teens. Okay. He's not like a grown man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he's like speaking to a hologram version of himself from an alternate world. They're talking, that older Reed Richards is teaching him how to build this like a portal. Right. So that they can, meet. And you see Reed and the kids and Sue and all that, like, what we would say is our normal Fantastic Four.
Sure.
And, Reed's like, I'm so excited. Transdimensional, the young Reed is transdimensional traveling, is not on this planet. Like, we need this. And they're really chummy. So Reed turns it on, doesn't tell the rest of the team he's been talking to an alternate version of himself. It transports him to New York, and this New York is decrepit. It's overgrown. Buildings are destroyed and everything like that. And you see Reed kind of like looking through, and a zombified Fantastic Four, a frightful four, as it were.
Oh, okay.
Is that standing there, and then that Reed is like, "Do you ever get the feeling you've been had?" And you're like, "What?" And dude, and And I love zombies. I love zombie things. Ever since I was a kid, they scare me, and it's an interesting story of survival. And this is pretty much my worst nightmare, seeing my favorite superheroes as zombies. So throughout the book, we're seeing that there are, like, all the heroes have turned.
Right.
They are. And it's illustrated by Greg Land, who is one of my at least top 6 favorite artists of all time. The guy draws, his art is something to behold. It's beautiful, and his Marvel zombies scared me. They look terrifying.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting because you have Magneto of that world still alive.
Oh man!
And he's like protecting like the last few humans that haven't been consumed.
Wow!
And it's funny because in the Ultimate Universe, that Magneto destroyed Manhattan.
Very true.
So, Ultimate Reed Richards is like, I don't want to trust you, and he's like, look, there are no humans and mutants. There's the living and the dead.
Right.
And it's just such a sweet story where he's trying to get Magneto's trying to get the surviving humans, which is only a handful, plus this Ultimate Reed back to that portal, and Reed's like, well, you can come with us, and Magneto's like, we can't risk them getting over to your world, so he's like, I'll stay behind and destroy it. And it's just this very sweet story about this zombie Fantastic Four that does get through.
Oh, wow.
So they do get through initially, and so Ultimate Reed is like, we got to destroy this, blah blah blah, and we got so. In the Ultimate world, the rest of the Fantastic Four are fighting the zombies, trying to figure out like what's going on. It's a great story, and it's a very sweet story where they're able to get to this point. Like the zombie Avengers and the X-Men are all coming for Magneto, and he had kind of formed a kinship with this cop's daughter.
Oh wow!
And he's like, be well and kind of thing. Like it's such a sweet, just like sad goodbye, and then he destroys it, and it's just great. Just like 3 or 4 issue story. And you're like, wow, like what are they going to do with this? They end up continuing the Frightful Four story in Fantastic Four, and it's great. Okay. That's for another show.
Oh, man.
But it's very interesting because I think we're going to have to do just a straight Marvel Zombies.
I think so too, man.
Because this does spin out, and they do at least 7 volumes of Marvel Zombies short stories that have their moments, but none of them are ever as creepy as Greg Land and Mark Millar's storyline. And it's a great way to do that. And yes, Marvel, when they went back to the well so many times, rumor is, and they're talking about doing an animated version of it for Disney Plus, which I will be watching. That's cool. But there's a bunch of them. They're not all good, but when they are, they're excellent.
What I remember so much about those are the covers.
Yes, great thing to bring up. That was what I wanted to talk about as well. Each cover was an homage. For the title of the Marvel Zombies volumes was an homage cover to an old school Silver Age cover.
Very true.
So they zombified X-Men #1.
Yes.
And Avengers 4.
Yeah.
And Hulk 181. They just zombified all of them by an artist, Arthur Sweetum.
Yes.
So he did just the cover artwork. He didn't do any of the internal stuff, and they were terrifying.
It was one of my favorites is the Silver Surfer and Thor.
Silver Surfer 4,
fight, but they're zombified.
Yeah, and, so good. Or
the Hulk issue where Wolverine's got the reflection of the Hulk in his claws.
Yeah.
And, what an interesting concept. Yeah. And I always wanted to ask you how we don't have to go into it now, but how did they manage to turn Thor into a zombie? He's a god. I don't know how that works. Or Wolverine, he's got a healing factor. And
they basically say, and they actually try to tie it loosely into the Neonomicon.
Oh,
from Evil Dead, Army of Darkness. And Sentry gets infected first.
Oh.
So Sentry's able to infect those people because he's technically stronger.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Kids, we will definitely come back to Marvel Zombies
have to.
as a whole, because you got to read them.
I have to.
I think you've only read the Ultimate Fantastic Four.
That's it. Yep.
Did you read the first volume 1?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
We'll get them, and maybe next Halloween season we will really delve into the Marvel Zombies universe.
I'm in love with all the cover art and that first story as well. I mean, that takes every horror trope we know, and does it well, and it gives you a human side to it that is actually missing from normal horror stuff. With Magneto and the child and making it about survival and sacrifice. And, oh man, it's hard to imagine this Was this before like the wave of zombies?
Yes.
The zombie stuff. Was this before like that?
Yeah, like Walking Dead is going on, but it's not that popular yet.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's not. There's not a TV show or anything like that. Right. It is just its own self-contained zombie story.
Okay.
And one of the few times that I feel Marvel, did something first.
There you go.
Yeah. Which. There's another story I'll be talking about, but I'd love to hear if you've got something else.
It's funny. I'm going to kind of tie my two together.
Okay. Yeah.
And yours, funny enough. Mine isn't its own book. It's actually just a piece of one book. I guess it's kind of like yours.
Okay.
Thing. It's Ultimate Nightmare.
Oh,
from Ultimate Extinction. Is that the name of the
ultimate
trilogy?
Yeah. Basically, what ends up being the Ultimate Galactus.
There we go.
Trilogy.
Yep. And the ending of that is just. It's terrifying in a different way.
Yeah.
That it sucks.
Yeah. But yeah, the Ultimate Galactus trilogy was 3 separate Ultimate miniseries, and it started off with Ultimate Nightmare. And again, as readers, we did not know what they were going to do.
Right, and it's written by Warren Ellis.
I was gonna say, was that Ellis? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yep, and it's basically it starts right. There's a distress signal, a telepathic distress signal. It goes to. Professor X gets it, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. somehow knows about it.
Yeah, well, they know things.
Yeah. And they want to know what it is. And it's coming from a place in Russia, and they both get their teams together. Nick Fury goes with... I don't know if Nick Fury actually goes. Oh, no, he does, I believe. So it's Nick Fury, Cap, Black Widow, and Falcon.
Yes.
And then the X-Men go, and Professor X sends Colossus, Jean Grey, and Wolverine. And they don't know either team is going. They both think that they're their own team.
Yeah.
It's just the only one that knows. So, cut to them getting to Russia. They managed to get into this old, broke down military base, basically.
Yeah.
And
it's like an underground bunker in Russia.
Yeah, exactly. And once we get into the bunker, this book turns into a full-on horror movie, basically. And I was not expecting it.
Nobody was. No, we did not know what this was.
Right, and let me tell you, kids, it's freaking terrifying.
The Russians have, in this bunker, they have lab experiments, basically.
That's it, yeah.
Just very, we talked about it on a previous show, but body horror.
Yeah, and it's very David Cronenberg, the Thing, that movie The Thing meets David Cronenberg's The Fly.
Yeah.
Just these... And you feel kind of sad for these experiments because they're just awful to look at.
And they're a product of the Cold War.
Yes.
So they knew that America had superheroes from Captain America and the fallout there. So they were like, we have to try to make our own. And they went about it the wrong way. And one of the things that they went about it was something crashed in Russia.
Yep.
And it's what in the Ultimate Universe, is what they're chalking up for Chernobyl.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep. And, oh man, again, I cannot emphasize how terrifying this is because within that bunker we get the creepy experiments and we get sort of Jean sort of freaking out because she's feeling all of this and you manage to feel what she's feeling.
Yeah.
And how they convey that is
brilliant. Trevor, I don't know how to say his last name. It looks like Harsign was the artist.
Right.
And he's not my favorite artist, but when he does something well, it is great, and I didn't know that he was meant for this type of just dark. He played with shadows.
There you go, and it was perfect. You didn't know what was looming in the next panel.
Yeah,
and what was hiding in the corner or those shadows of those panels.
Yeah,
and getting through the fun house of horror that is this bunker.
Oh, what a great way to put it! Yeah, it is a fun house of horror.
Oh man, it is. And what scared me was, like you said, none of us were expecting it to go to that point.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, they're going on a mission.
Yeah.
Wonder what this is going to be.
Right.
And I thought it was like, oh, they're going to run into some psycho Soviets.
Yeah.
And they're going to fight, not walk into this. Oh, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so awful and amazing and terrifying. And the ending is just great.
Well, what's funny is that Cap finds kind of his Russian counterpart.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
He finds his Russian counterpart, and there's this basically a Captain Russia in there, but he's got this crappy wood shield.
Yeah.
And it's not even but it's fused to him. It's part of him.
Yep.
And him and Cap kind of have a fight, and Cap basically just kind of mercy kills this dude.
Yes.
Because in the Ultimate Universe, kids, Captain America is a soldier, not Chris Evans. All right. So yeah, he will kill you if you're trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it's to complete the mission.
Yeah.
He'll do it with no qualms.
Yeah, he's quite hardcore.
That was probably one of the coolest things that the Ultimate Universe did.
Yeah, I agree.
But
they made him kind of a wiener too, where like he was just like, hey, watch your mouth.
Oh yeah,
but totally. Like not in a funny way. Like like if you don't, he's gonna hit you.
But, oh man, I mean, I can't say any more about this. I really want people to go read this and just appreciate.
But just stop there, okay? It's part 1 of the Galactus trilogy, and it is the other 2 books are not good.
No,
but Ultimate Nightmare by itself is so interesting. It has the ending of a bad horror movie because it doesn't pay off for the trilogy.
There you go.
But the 3 issues that Ultimate Nightmare is excellent.
Right. Oh, for sure. Excellent. And we might as well just give the ending away.
Go for it.
Yeah. So we get through this bunker and we get to where the distress signal is coming from.
Because the distress signal was telepathic.
Yeah, I think I said that at the beginning.
Okay.
And because that Gene or Professor X knows it somehow, and so they get to this room, and it's revealed to be this android that's kind of strung up, missing limbs, basically.
Yeah. Opened up.
Yeah, and so they all see it? Does it?
Yeah, they all kind of get there at the same time, and it's like they're asking it like what is your purpose?
Yeah.
Like, what are you here for? And it tells them, hey, like I crashed here.
Yeah, 100 years ago.
100 years ago, or not? It wouldn't be 100 because it would have been when Chernobyl happened.
Oh, so 50-something years ago. Yeah,
and it's telling us a story, and it says that it was from this civilization to where this being came and destroyed their world. Well, they couldn't. This original civilization, they could not figure out how to save their world, so they gave this artificial intelligence all the knowledge that they had and sent it to the next world. They figured out a pattern of these like planets just being destroyed. So it goes to the next world and it says, hey, this is what the last world I was from was destroyed. This is what it knew. You guys are next.
Right.
So if they they basically this being gets sent from planet to planet with each new planet trying to figure out a way to stop their own decimation.
Right.
And they're adding to the AI. They're improving upon it, adding to the records, and as it starts to go on, it's the vision of the Ultimate Universe, and its purpose is to try to warn you. And as it's telling us, the Galactus is coming.
Yep.
And it's like phonetically like spelled as like GAHLAKTUS.
Yeah.
And basically like it's there to warn you. And they're like, well,
how long do we got?
Yeah. And it's like the things like that's why I sent out the signal. It's the Galactus is coming.
It's right.
Because it was trying to get there 60 years before or 50 years before.
But the Russians captured it, and from what I remember, they were removing the limbs to give to like their super soldier.
Yeah, they were like using the components to make their own super soldiers.
Exactly. So instead of maybe prepping for Galactus, they basically wanted to win this war that didn't even happen.
Damn Russians. Damn Ruskies.
Ruskies.
So, it's a fascinating book, but unfortunately the trilogy doesn't pay off.
Nope.
It's written by other people and drawn by other people as well, so it's just Galactus ends up being these like termite robots.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's lame. It's lame.
But
Ultimate Nightmare is excellent.
It's amazing. And again, just read it. Just read it. Appreciate it for how awesome it is.
Well, we've got 2 Marvel books, both in the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, funny. Oh, weird. Yeah.
And then we've got a nice little indie book from IDW in 30 Days of Night.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be, again, bipartisan as we can in comic books. And for me, and again, it's the same trope, but Blackest Night.
Hey!
From Jeff Johns and Ivan Rice and numerous other artists, because this book was worth your money. Very few times is there... This was a main event for DC Comics.
Okay.
Jeff Johns is the relaunch soothsayer.
Yeah.
He if he's on a book, I'm reading his book.
There you go.
I give every book this guy writes
for
a
sure.
chance. And he had been writing a phenomenal Green Lantern story. He brought Hal Jordan back to the mainstream, brought Barry Allen back to the mainstream, reinvented what we could think about Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman's relationship. This guy... Everything he touches is gold. He's only got one bad book, and I can't even remember what it was. But he set this in motion years before, probably like 6 years in the works, and he writes The Blackest Night. And it's the same trope from before. For me, it is my heroes and villains as zombies.
Ugh.
But he did it in a different way.
Yes.
He had reintroduced what the Green Lantern Corps was, and then this War of Light where we got way more cores, so all the Roy G. Biv color spectrum, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, indigo, and but then he introduced the concept of Black Lanterns, and that each, to give you a rough history on what a lantern is in the DC universe, a lantern core gets powered by like a motion of the universe.
There you go. Yeah.
Willpower is not really an emotion, but we'll make it
slack.
But we've got rage, we've got greed, hope, and so on. But this idea of, and their power comes from basically like the collection of this energy in the universe. Well, there's a hell god named Necron that controls the dead, but he's not allowed to be in our universe without an avatar. So he creates this black lantern where it can control energy, and he's got he starts sending out black rings, and of course all of the black rings are going to fallen heroes and villains.
Oh yeah.
And they're reanimating the corpses, but it's really the ring more than anything. It knows what those memories were, but it's not really your person.
Sure.
But it's cool because they go on and they'll be like, at this time, who was dead? It was like Aquaman was dead.
Oh, okay.
So it goes to it finds his bones, and it's like Arthur Curry of the planet Earth, rise. And then, so yeah, like, and their whole thing is that they need to trigger emotion in the people. Like, it's not like they eat the flesh or anything like, or they consume emotion.
Okay.
So that's why it's like bringing back familiar faces to like draw emotion out of the heroes and everything like that. And Necron's beef is that heroes have been allowed to come back to life. So he's like,
that's cool.
And he's like, I'm supposed to be, only I'm allowed to do this.
Right.
So it's more of something like that. And it's just this fascinating story, and it's one of the few times ever that every book in DC was a Blackest Night tie-in. Really? Every single book. And pretty much everyone was good. It's the rare occasion.
About to say.
Yeah, they do it all the time. There'll be some weird tie-in to a comic, and you're like, why is this Deadpool comic tying into this Captain America comic?
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing even going on with it.
No.
Maximum Carnage was 80 issues, basically.
Right.
And it did not have to do with everything,
Nope. Nope.
And, so yeah, they did all these like mini stories, and they fed the story through all these other things because they were bringing back tons of different people. So bringing back fallen Teen Titans and Doomsday, all of these cool characters, bringing them back with black rings, and to have this really great fight of the dead.
Yeah,
and it's awesome. Yeah, because they're like consuming hearts, because when you feel the emotion, it's like in your heart.
Oh,
so yeah. So they would take your heart out. And yeah, it was a great horror book. It was a really great horror book. For you, one that was interesting is that a ring goes on to Boston Brand.
Oh,
so Dead Man is alive.
So, I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was so silly. It was so
That's
silly.
Perfect though. That's awesome. Oh my god.
Really great storyline, great visuals, interesting ways to kill the dead, and like they would get you off your game because you would love the remember I was telling you that story where Wonder Woman snaps that dude's neck?
Right.
Where that guy gets brought back.
Oh, nice.
And Greg Horn did some of the art for the Wonder Woman series.
Right.
And I mean, he's got this new son, like he looks terrifying. Max Lord. Yeah, it was great.
Oh man.
So they took the idea of what Marvel did for Marvel Zombies in terms of just like zombifying your heroes and villains.
Which, I don't think that's such a basic idea.
Sure.
They just did it first.
Yes,
so it looks
and
like biting.
Blackest Night is better. It's just better.
Okay.
It's because Jeff Johns spent the time to develop the story for years.
Sure.
Whereas Marvel just rushed it over years. You would get Marvel Zombies every year after crossover happened, But Jeff Johns really crafted this beautiful story, made it make sense, made it fit continuity really well. And yeah, it was just a fantastic story.
Man, it's what's cool is that to me it seems like this is a cool version of what Game of Thrones tried to do.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like bringing
the
back the dead and having this dead versus the living fight with heroes.
Yes.
Maybe dead heroes coming back to being reanimated.
Yeah.
And granted, Game of Thrones sucked at it.
Yes.
Again, I don't think they were trying to draw parallels. I've just kind of seen it that way.
Yeah.
But, I don't think I've read any of those.
Yeah.
And it's a
bummer. Have to get you those too.
Trade, and it just. Out of a lot of books that you managed to bring up a lot, that is definitely one of the ones you managed to reference a lot.
Yeah.
And I want to read this because, again, having the horror aspect to it, which I'm in love with, but seeing how these heroes deal with facing their past.
Yeah.
Maybe they see these heroes that died, like, oh man, I should have been there to save them. So they're racked with guilt, or other emotions.
Oh yeah, like whose dead kid comes back to life? Like, I mean, they did some stuff like that too. It was, it was
gnarly. That is gnarly, dude.
It was. You know, I mean, they were doing a bunch of stuff. I mean, they had a Boomer who is the son of Captain Boomerang.
Oh, okay.
And Captain Boomerang, if you remember, dies in Identity Crisis.
That's
Remember,
right.
he's the one who killed Tim Drake's dad.
That's right.
And so, like, Boomer had been like this hero, or quasi-hero, kind of Suicide Squad-esque, but like, better.
Any hero, I guess, sure.
But then he's like keeping his dad and like feeding people to his dad because he just wants him there so bad. He wants him there so like, you know, there's a lot of creepy stuff in there, and
it's scary, but and it's creepy, but it's also depressing.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because even like the dad, he's like chained up so he can't get out.
Right.
But he's like, he's like more like I'm feeling better. So he's like making him bring,
it's not like how in Shaun of the Dead he's keeping Ned alive and they play video games. It's like, oh, I'm actually bringing people for him to kill.
Yeah. And it sucked because we all really liked Boomer, and then it was too bad because they end up like turning this character into something you really couldn't get behind. Right. It's like, oh man, you fed like people to your dad, man.
Right.
When you knew it's not really him. You know the game.
Yeah.
But like
he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. And but it made a good play because Boomer grew up without his dad because he was in and out of prison and everything. So like, just like,
hold on to it.
I got to do it. You know, they did it in Walking Dead. In the comic, actually, they did it better in the show because in the comic, the governor, I'm pretty sure he's sleeping with the little girl that he's like calling his daughter. It's super gross. But in the show, they made it to where he was keeping his daughter alive.
There you go.
Keeping his daughter, feeding his daughter. You know. Yeah. So, but it's a fantastic book. It's something that if you're even kind of thinking about getting back into comics and you're like, oh, I like Green Lantern, read anything from Jeff Johns. Start at Green Lantern Rebirth and then just follow the trail.
There you go.
And the way that it ends it actually ends in Brightest Day, which is not that good of a story. But Blackest Night for me was like, it was like 7 or 8 years of like just killer Green Lantern comics.
Man.
Yeah.
I can't believe it spanned that long.
Dude, it's so hard for a book to be that good for that long. There's only like 2 bad issues in his Green Lantern run where I was just like, oh, this is okay.
Right. And even like, okay is like, wow, it could put it up against any other book, it's probably good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, wow. Oh, man.
And kids, there's tons of good horror books out there.
Oh, yeah.
We wanted to touch on these couple ones. We'll probably touch on some more next year.
Oh, yeah.
Because we plan on being here next year
for
you guys, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And, but these were some of the ones that we wanted to talk about, ones that we really enjoyed. And that has been our show today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button. Leave us a comment. Give us a like. Tell us about a horror book that you like. And we, like I said, we left a bunch off the list. So let us know. Maybe there's some that we are unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
Check us out on YouTube. More comments there. Eric, what did you learn today?
I need to get on the zombies and the Blackest Night, man. Yeah. I need to get on that.
All zombies, all day.
Yeah.
All
Blackest
day.
Zombies.
Yeah, black zombies. That's interesting. Marvel Knight. I learned that in kind of doing research for this, just seeing the more indie side like you had with 30 Days of Night, there's definitely a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash comic that I really need to check out. J. Scott Campbell at least did the cover art. It's interesting. So there's definitely some weight. And same thing with horror movies. I don't really dig horror comics, and it sounds like that I might need to do some more.
There you go.
Check us out on Instagram at REC Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Roman REC Podcast. Eric doesn't want you to follow him anywhere.
Yet.
He follows you. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys. I have been your host, Roman Chavez.
I'm still Eric.
And we will catch you next time.